It is day 109 of our journey through the Bible. We are in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah is the premier prophetic book of the Old Testament. It is noted for its description of the coming Messiah as God's suffering servant. Because of its lofty portrayal of God and his purpose of salvation, the book is sometimes called the fifth gospel, implying it is similar in theme to the Gospels of the New Testament. With its 66 chapters, Isaiah is the longest prophetic book of the Old Testament. The book falls naturally into two major sections, chapters 1 through 39 and chapters 40 through 66. One good way to remember the grand design of the book is to think of the sections as a parallel to the main sections of the Bible. The first section of Isaiah contains the same number of chapters as the number of books in the Old Testament, 39. The second part of the book parallels the New Testament in the same way, 27 chapters for the 27 books of this section of the Bible. The general theme of the first part of Isaiah's book is God's approaching judgment on the nation of Judah. In some of the most striking passages in all the Bible, the prophet announces that God will punish his people because of their sin, rebellion, and worship of false gods. But this message of stern judgment is also mixed with beautiful poems of comfort and promise. Although judgment is surely coming, better days for God's covenant people lie just ahead. This section of Isaiah's book refers several times to the coming Messiah. His name will be called Emmanuel. As a ruler on the throne of David, he will establish an everlasting kingdom. Other significant events and prophecies covered in the first section of Isaiah's book include his call as a prophet, God's judgment against the nations surrounding Judah, and a warning to Judah not to seek help through vain alliances with Egypt. During Isaiah's time, Judah's safety was threatened by the advancing Assyrian kingdom. When the king of Judah sought to protect the nation's interests by forming an alliance with Egypt to turn back to the Assyrians, Isaiah advised his nation to look to their God for deliverance, not to a pagan nation led by an earthly ruler. He also prophesied that the Assyrian army would be turned back by God before it succeeded in overthrowing the nation of Judah. The second major section of Isaiah's book, chapters 40 through 66, is filled with prophecies of comfort for the nation of Judah. Just as Isaiah warned of God's approaching judgment in the first part of his book, the 27 concluding chapters were written to comfort God's people in the midst of their suffering after his judgment had fallen. The theme of this entire section may be illustrated with Isaiah's famous hymn of comfort that God directed the prophet to address to the people. Comfort, yes, comfort my people, says your God. Speak comfort to Jerusalem and cry out to her that her warfare is ended, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. Isaiah's message in this part of his book is that after their period of judgment is past, God's covenant people will be restored to their place of responsibility in God's plan for the salvation of the world. Our scripture today is Isaiah 53, beginning with verse 3. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and as one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with his wounds we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all.